The panels.
The panels, the panels, the members. Yeah.
One more chair, please.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
For you? Okay. Yes.
Dr. Leong, Dr. Ma.
Okay, I will sit next to you, Alusin.
Alright, you need to sit.
I'm scared. Don't worry, you are ever scared of me.
Yeah.
It's okay. Sit down, sit down. It's like
It's an open topic.
Okay.
Yeah, open topic.
Sure.
Open topic.
Dr. Ma?
That's it, right? Right.
Any questions?
Okay.
Thank you for the questions. Or still not?
Okay, Paramin, I'm going to borrow your mic first because otherwise I wouldn't have a chance to talk. Alright, now it is indeed a very interesting session from Paramin, but for those of the new city, it may looks, pretty interesting, difficult and things like that. You probably have a mixed feeling of the whole thing. But MonsoonSIM as a platform, right, we do not want to restrict any ethnics, any policies or anything. So it is something that you can create from the platform itself. So Paramin has shown a very good example of how we actually implement it. And then of course, sometimes, you put out too much rule for the student, then you restrict their thinking. So there's different school of thoughts that we're looking at. So always feel free to use your own methodology in the expression. Of course, Paramin has shown a very good example of how the lecturer even can actually put them into the curriculum or as a sort of elective subject into the business course or any courses that you may want it to be in. Alright, so with all these distinguished panels here today, we're going to sort of get their opinions in terms of how the new version 7 e-commerce is able to be embedded in the courses or as a subject that will create more values to the student. Shall we sort of invite Dr. Ma to be on board? Yeah. Oh, she's on. Okay, so I'm going to probably shoot out the first question to Dr. Jonathan to probably address a little bit on what is your thought after looking at the version 7 e-commerce and what will be the possible sort of area that we can actually harness to embed it or to actually build as part of an integrated environment for the social science and things like that. Dr. Ma, please come forward. You are selected to be one of the panel to give your opinion before your presentation. So please, yeah, right. So Dr. Jonathan, over to you.
Okay, I need to give a background. So at SUSS, we use Monsoon not just for teaching. That's Dr. Ma's primary role using MonsoonSIM. On my front, I use it for student application, student selection, admission to the university, as well as for the competition itself. So there's an interest group. But more than that, we tend to use MonsoonSIM as a way of teasing out non-academic qualities of students. Paramin and Derrick rightfully pointed out that we tend to take things from an academic viewpoint, but academics is only going to get you so far in the real world. You have a lot of other traits that you need to cultivate. So I think with the introduction of e-commerce, you are looking at, of course, yet another factor in the simulation, but that's going to cultivate a different sense of interaction both within the team and between teams. So my first thought when I see that is, okay, let's say I have a team from Singapore and I have a team from Malaysia. What if they're friends? Right. My best bet to win the game is to make friends with that team and then we sell to each other. I tell you when I'm going to sell, I collaborate. Right? So your collaborative aspect, the human aspect has now expanded beyond one team, beyond the country's team to another team. And then even within the country, right, like we have 3 teams. I'm sure there are rivals between the 3 of them. So if I don't like, I'm team A, I don't like team B and team C, then I collaborate with Thailand. And Thailand, you get number 1, I get number 2, or the other way around, doesn't matter. Right? Good idea, right, I mean. So adding to that, right, then you have the game outside the game. What do I mean by that? MonsoonSIM is not just a game itself, right? You still have all these interactive activities. That's where I get to know Alex, Epi, all our beloved instructors here. And then the students get to network with each other. And we all know in the real world, we are no longer operating within our countries. This gives them a wide network. It's getting wider and wider. So at first we only had Thailand and Indonesia and Malaysia. And now we have Hong Kong. And I'm told that there's plans for more expansion. So pretty soon we're going to have students from wider and wider regions, and our students, all our students, will be able to connect with these. One of these is going to become a business connection at some point, or a reference. And I think that's the first thought that comes to mind. Less so on the actual teaching, but more on student development.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Jonathan. So as we have actually seen, the e-commerce has an impact over the developments of different countries. If you look at the third world countries, I mean, China at one time we were looking at you know if you're from China, people look down on you and things like that. That was like 20 years ago, but now everybody looks up on China. So will there be a difference in terms of impact of these modules to countries like perhaps we look at Laos or maybe the Indo-China, in terms of catching up with the technology. So let's hear from Derrick from Australia, and to see if this is going to have an impact over the economy across the board from different, countries like, third world, first world, and things like that. So over to you, Derrick.
Sorry, what was your question?
It was not a question, but we were talking about the primary subject about the e-commerce, to be used as an academic subject. That's number one. But across the board, if you look at the real world, e-commerce has brought the different opportunity to, even if I'm from a third world country, I can still sell in the e-commerce. And does that create extra value to the student from Australia per se, or from Singapore per se? Jonathan has put up a different idea saying that, all right, it's going to actually have collaboration for the student to actually collaborate outside the country itself, using this platform rather than, most of the game that we have right now, retail is very much localized, but it's not able to go across the platform. Like for example, Lazada, we have Alibaba, so it's no longer restricted to China as per China, right? So, I mean, with this introduction of this e-commerce module, what are the extra value we can bring to the students in terms of simulation? Now, at one point of time, I actually heard this Alibaba also have actually a education arm that they will actually sell Alibaba training program to the universities. That happens in a university called University Tunku Abdul Rahman in Malaysia. So they pay a lot for that e-commerce module. But when the lecturer shared with me, he said he'd gone into the training and then he sits in to listen to the trainers from Alibaba. They actually flew in the trainer from China, and all they teach is 45 minutes. So he said after 45 minutes, that's it. They pay a lot of money for that. So they don't really see the value, because e-commerce as an e-commerce, as opposed to the basic concept of a business in terms of how you manage finance, retail, it was not embedded in that module itself. So coming back to MonsoonSIM as a whole, of course we have actually sort of progressed since 2011. And by now, we have actually covered quite extensively in terms of both the retail, the B2B, the warehouse, the production, human resource, and so on. So this new edition, hopefully, it will actually garner more interest from the student. So that generally the question is actually more into your opinion of how we can actually bring this further to the student. Over to you, Derrick.
Thank you. So I think what I found most interesting in the e-commerce, which is why I asked the question, another way to reach other customers, right? Grow your business as just another revenue channel, right? I don't think that's all that interesting, right? Customers are customers, who cares, right? But the ability to interact between the teams, I think really opens up something, right? And when you look a lot at gamification, part of the reason that it becomes such an engaging experience is because we set up this aspect of competition, right? And a lot of the time, the framing of the competition is very much win-loss competition, right? For me to win, I have to take something from the other team, right? And so I have to take something away from them to get more, and then I get more revenue or more profit or more points, and I win, right? So I think what Jonathan was talking about in terms of this idea of collaboration is quite interesting, especially if you start to open the student mind to the possibility of specialization, right? So MonsoonSIM has a lot of broad scope, right? And so instead of setting up the game that, okay, so there's all these aspects of your business and all these modules, and you should master all of them and be the best at all of them, and then you win, right? And this idea of maybe I want to specialize, maybe I will only produce, and I don't care about retail, and sell to all the other teams, right? And I'm not going to be bothered with production, I'll buy from some other team, right? And so this idea of the vertical interaction between, you choose, you know what, we focus on production and we supply the other teams. Okay, we don't worry about that. We rather buy from the other teams, right? And so this opens up the avenue for a few things, conversations. You can link that to even an idea of within different divisions of an organization and the different managers of an organization and how you reward each of their performance and KPIs. So if you wanted to talk a concept of transfer pricing, for example, right? So manager X who's in charge of production, manager Y who's in charge of retail sales, how do you incentivize each of them when there's this price transfer, right? The retail guy, you know, he has to take the cost of goods sold that the purchaser and the production team can come up with, right? So if you then introduce the concept of transfer pricing, which is you agree on how much the other one is accountable for, right? You can directly link this to this idea of having the teams interact with each other. And okay, so when I set my price too high as a producer, the other teams didn't want to buy from me, so that doesn't work, right? If I set it too low, they all buy from me, but they look good because they make more profit than me, right? So I think this opens up a lot of avenue and interesting conversations. But if you want to go to what you were asking about in terms of globalization or interaction between countries and things like this, I think you would need more than just the e-commerce module. You would need to provide localized advantages, right? So for example, you're in country X, but country X is not that rich a country, right? So the cost of labor is low, so their cost is cheaper. So they don't pay the same labor cost for the HR module as others based on their location, right? Their labor cost is low, but their retail price is low. They can't sell for a lot, right? And so you set up how somebody else is in a wealthier country, their labor cost is high, but their retail price that they can get is high. So the way to have everybody win is for these teams to understand their localized competitive advantages and say, we have low labor costs, we should produce. You have access to consumers who are willing to pay high price. Okay, you should be the one who sells, and I should sell I should make the product and sell to you. So I think this could be quite interesting.
Very good.
Okay, thank you very much, Derrick. So perhaps you want to take this point a little bit to some guys who is not from education. Mr. Paramintara.
Okay, I haven't taken a look at the version 7 before. I just take a look this morning, said that's to you, right? Okay, this is another practice that after I saw the demo this morning, okay, just come back last year in Thailand. I'm going to do like this. I try to let them understand the game and reach to the realities, right? So based on the Thailand ERM challenge, the local competitions. Last year, I'm trying, my team is a manageability, something like that. So I took the top 6 to see the real factories and have a chance to interview a whole process by each officers. And they're gonna get to have another 5 minutes, only 5 minutes that they can speak to the MD. The question is, if this business belongs to you, right? what is the suggestion to make the business better. Okay, I saw something like this in the e-commerce. Technically, when I teaching about the marketing, this is quite limited from the version 6 back to version 3, right? So actually, I'm trying to teach them and make them understand about market first, and the size of market, and what is what we call the supply planning in the logistics or whatever. I think this thing can be able to teach more and teach easier for the lecturer in terms of we have the e-commerce for that one, right? And also in terms of the accounting, which is I haven't taken a look on, right? How's what's the portion of the business plan? Which market that you try to, let's say, more focus, B2B, B2C, or e-commerce, why? And what is the reasons behind? This is a thing that you can teach more from e-commerce. I think that's all for me now. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So to take your point a little bit further, right? So do you think that we can develop something just on e-commerce alone in MonsoonSIM version 7, rather than sort of, as what Derrick has pointed out, that's another channel for you to generate revenue. But so as per se, I think we are trying to create more contents for the university. So do you think that it's possible to create a program or a course just on the e-commerce alone? And what is in there that is useful, and what is in there, or what is missing in there?
Okay,
so maybe we can look at that.
I used to teach this class in Thailand. It's about the e-commerce. It's like a workshop. Everyone suppose in Thailand we are the very top country for the Facebook users, right? So for that case, everyone keen on the Facebook. So this is a thing that I'm demo for them. For example, if you want to see how huge or how big of the marketing is, for the ordinary market, you shouldn't know, right? Because you don't have any data. But in the e-commerce, when you register yourself, they know that, oh, you are guys late 40, right? Is a girl, blah, 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 blah. What they plan to buy, what they know the activity. All of these slides, once you put into the Facebook market, right, you can measure the market size first, and you can make decisions you're gonna get into that market or not, something like that. This is a way that in terms of you can activate this. MonsoonSIM e-commerce is sale right now, as I saw this morning. Maybe it's the first step for the e-commerce. But in the near future, it's supposed to be, you can teach more, right? Right now, no one buying online, right? Everyone buying outside, right? Everyone buy something to the net, right? So this is all very common. Come back to this one. I do support Derrick. We supposed to have the, let's say, like multiple channels or multiple market in every different circumstance and environment in MonsoonSIM. And when you plan to teach that one, you're able to configure and just select whatever student experience that you want them to have, something like that, right? This is the thing. So come back, can have the, let's say like a spatial software or whatever that embedded to MonsoonSIM version 7 for this or not, right? If possible, yes. And also the other thing is about the new way to teach about the logistics, which is a totally different. I'm not knowing for any countries, but for Thailand we are the logistics countries. Now is our plan will link together CLMVT. You have to know, right? Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Thailand, because of by the location, right? Now this is a way that you can teach them what is the physical thing and physical environment matched into the e-commerce. This is maybe the common explanation that I may be given in the class. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Paramintara. So let's hear some point from Ibu Alexandra representing Indonesia. So.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I'm not a professor. Nobody compared to them besides of me. Okay, but Yeah, about e-commerce. Okay, from my point of view, because I'm teaching not a number one university like that. So I imagine that e-commerce could be another subject that we could teach in whole semester, a whole new curriculum. But not right now, just as Mr. Paramintara said, because what I'm seeing right now is just the technical, the procedural way behind a quick e-commerce transaction. So you buy, you sell, you can ship, and we simplified everything. We simplified the fee. We simplified everything in e-commerce. So it's I quite agree with Mr. Paramintara that if we should develop this module e-commerce, it should be emphasized on the marketing intelligence. So we have to train, because I think as an accountant, that was the difficult thing about e-commerce. Not e-commerce is suitable for our product. Not e-commerce channel is suitable for our social media campaign. So what we have, we need to introduce to our students is they are going to be do business in an e-commerce world. So what they have is a social media, or they have is e-commerce channel, and we do encourage them to do entrepreneurial business since they were in business students in my university. But to do that, they have to learn more about social media campaign, choose the right e-commerce channel, and consider everything, including logistics. So I imagine this could be another module that could be bigger and bigger. It's not just an add-on to MonsoonSIM, but it should be another module that we could teach in another curriculum. So we have to admit that the business itself has been transformed into e-commerce. So what the students will be faced in 3 years or 4 years is e-commerce. So I really hope that the e-commerce module will be grow more complex and more micro concepts in there, so we can now show them how, if you choose this kind of social media, like what the difference you use Facebook or Instagram to promote your products. It will be different. Facebook is kind of old, I think.
Do you have that one in marketing?
We will definitely go in that direction. Very good point. We are getting there. We are putting more micro concept on the marketing side on e-commerce. We need to teach people about the concept of pay-per-click, pay-per-view, and so on and so on, and Google Analytics. Maybe certain simulated analytics for them to choose what is their keyword and so on and so on. But that's coming. It's unlimited.
Yes, so please do that, sir. Yes, because it's a difficult concept, especially for university like where I belong. The student is not very common to pay per click advertising, so they just listen to me and wondering what it's like. Maybe it's different on another country, but for Indonesia, I think, and for Semarang especially, it's kind of new. So it's nice to have a gamification and simulation on that, so we can teach them and prepare them better. Yes.
Alright, very nice. So I also heard that you have exposed yourself to a couple of platforms other than MonsoonSIM. Am I right that you have been trained under a system simulation called ERPSIM?
Yes, ERPSIM.
So can you give a bit of comments about the difference of these two platforms, and perhaps a little bit about the difference from your personal point of view? I mean, in terms of how you're going to deliver to the students.
So as a background, my school is using two types of ERP. We use MonsoonSIM for simulation, but we also use SAP R3 for a complete accounting process. So on the last conference, I chose to attend their TTT about ERPSIM developed by HEC Montreal. So as you know, the HEC Montreal is not part of SAP. Okay, so they just another university developing a simulation game, but based on the SAP platform. So day one I joined the TTT, I quickly feel disappointed because just like SAP, everything is gray. Okay, so, for you who doesn't know SAP, SAP is German, right? German. So everything is tiny and monochrome. That's what I thought, because before I became a lecturer, I am a regular accountant. I am an accounting manager, so I have an opportunity to use another ERP software. So Microsoft is very colorful. Sun Microsystem is a little bit gray, but SAP is gray. Gray, and sometimes the technical code is very German, so it's not related to English, so we can understand how they can abbreviate this transaction to this code. We cannot remember. That's what I found difficult with SAP. But they developed another platform called SAP Fiori. It's just like a mobile interfaces. So I play the ERPSIM simulation with the Fiori. So they simplified. So I just to click one button, but it brings me back to the real SAP platform. So the gray one again. So what I'm missing in the ERPSIM, the first thing first is the dashboard. And for my in the university, I definitely don't like it because I adopted MonsoonSIM in a course called Management Information System. So I don't want to talk the students about the technical detail process. I want to teach them to see the bigger picture and what the most important thing is to them for taking decision. So why I cannot see dashboard on the ERPSIM? I don't understand. So there is no dashboard, so it's very difficult to even just to take decision about changing price. I have to look to report and which one of this, just so like that. So that's what I thought about ERPSIM. And the second thing I really don't like about ERPSIM by HEC Montreal is that it cannot be customized. Not the runtime, we cannot customize the runtime, we cannot customize the product, we cannot customize the location, we cannot customize everything. So they are limited only to few rounds and then stop. So that's what I thought. That after get back, I surely said that no, we will still use MonsoonSIM. It will be fun for students to see the colorful dashboard and everything, and simplify the transaction, because the idea is not to know what the real thing behind the transaction. It's just to train them to take decisions, thinking fast sometimes, yeah, some things like that. So I thought MonsoonSIM is more suitable for our university better than ERPSIM by HEC Montreal.
Okay. Well. Thank you. Speaking of that ERPSIM, I think the gentleman in the center has a lot to share with us. He's actually been involved with that product for quite a while. The good side of it, not the so I let Derrick dwell a bit on that one.
Did you tell her before who I was?
No.
That was unfair. So for those of you who don't know or haven't met me, I actually worked for HEC Montreal as part of the ERPSIM lab development for 10 years. And I actually met Abdi when I was training him back in 2008, 9, whatever, Bangalore. He came to the Train the Trainer workshop to learn how to use ERPSIM for SAP, and I taught him. And rather than use it, he decided he could create his own. And here we all are. I agree with most of what you say. ERPSIM has a slightly different philosophy, right? Somebody going to look for a job, a student after they graduate, and say, oh, you know, what software have you got experience with? Oh, MonsoonSIM, what's that? No business runs MonsoonSIM to run their company, right? And so one of the advantages of ERPSIM over MonsoonSIM is not that you're gonna learn more about business and things like that. MonsoonSIM has more to offer than ERPSIM. But the student's saying, well, I've actually used SAP and ERP, a real one, right? I have some experience. I've seen those ugly screens. I've learned how to use those ugly screens, right? Yeah, that has some value, right? To the student in maybe getting a job, right? I agree. It's way less configurable. The scope of it, in terms of the modules and everything, is way less. It's built on top of SAP. That was by design. And so you take whatever SAP has, right? The good and the bad, right? That's nothing that ERPSIM can do other than go rewrite SAP, right? Which they're not going to do. And one of the philosophies of ERPSIM was we did not want the student to learn the simulation. We wanted the student to learn SAP. So the student experience of the simulation is they never see a simulation screen. The only screens they see is SAP. So from their perspective, it creates this very authentic, I'm using SAP. The simulation is not providing them an interface. It's not providing them any experience other than, oh, I believe I've got customers and suppliers out there interacting with me, right? But the tool you use is SAP, the way it looks, the reports, and all the rest of it, right? So it is built with a slightly different philosophy in terms of its objective, right? I no longer work for that lab for several reasons. Part of which was the pace of innovation was very slow. I've known Abby for a long time, but we only reconnected again recently. And the interaction that we've had in terms of ideas and how could we do this and could we do that has only been a few weeks. But already there has been more development in those few weeks than there was in ERPSIM in the last 2 years. So I do think, you know, from a commitment to expanding and making it better and everything that, I mean, MonsoonSIM is already so much further ahead in terms of the scope of learning. That I do think, yeah, it offers instructors so much more flexibility. But as this gentleman said, you know, I give you more bullets, that just gives you more opportunity to shoot yourself, right? So you still need to understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Don't try to teach everything, control the scope, introduce it slowly, right? But there's definitely a lot more there than you can go forward than what ERPSIM has to offer, absolutely.
Thank you very much, Derrick. So I guess just to sum up what Derrick was been saying here is that, all right, just give me a minute, yeah? So I guess he has a chance to defend himself, which is very fair now. No, just don't worry. This is an open forum, so I hope everybody takes it with an open heart and open mind. Now I guess that MonsoonSIM is more targeting towards why a business process happen rather than how a business process being carried out in SAP per se. So both of them will have their impact on the community they want to focus on. And that, I would say that by and large, we can actually implement MonsoonSIM a lot earlier than SAP, because SAP, we're talking about going to the market. I know SAP, and then some students, and later on we're going to hear a topic about escalation into professional SAP. I mean, MonsoonSIM is always connected to SAP, one way or another, and we are in a big community in Indonesia, we have community elsewhere in the countries, and that is always our pledge to actually work closely with SAP. Now, of course, taking it along the side here is that, I mean, giving more features in MonsoonSIM doesn't mean that giving more bullet to shoot yourself. Now, I would say that to a certain extent, we will try to make the platform very open, because you never know that, you know, every individual, every teacher, every professional will have his own methodology to deliver the knowledge. As what Paramintara has just said, that you have many ways of methodology to teach the student. As long as it works, student learns. I think the learning outcome is the key that we want to look at. So,
just to add one more. This is an input also from MonsoonSIM, and just one thing I admire about SAP, and also it was I felt it in when I trained on ERPSIM. It's about the production planning. I still not I think it's not comparable of the production planning on MonsoonSIM and to ERPSIM, because as you said, I facing the real production planning sheet on the ERPSIM. So that's what I think a lack of production planning in MonsoonSIM, because we cannot do the, I think that we cannot do the real planning in MonsoonSIM, because you just set up the capacity of the production and that's it. And if you want to go to another product, you have to change the production order. Am I correct? Because if we have two machines, all the two machines will be produce the same product, right?
Right.
So that's what I really think that it's not go like that. If I have two kind of machine, that's what my students always ask. Why? We can buy two machines and one produce apple juice and one produce orange juice. So we cannot have to change the production order every time. And they have so many things to do because they have to make sure the raw material is there. But sometimes they have to change the production order. That's what that's an input for you.
Very good.
That's nice, because if we have I admit that SAP is very good in production planning. They do the planning based on the statistics and everything. So that should be the real production planning, I think.
Very good point. Absolutely. In fact, Didi sitting at the back, I'm sure he looked at me and he said, "Did I told you so?" Yes, you're right.
Oh yes, because I complain to
Oh,
them every
right.
time.
Absolutely, absolutely. I take it behalf. Absolutely, I agree totally. In fact, that is really on our top of our list. We are going to put production scheduling, and that involves batch of unit of batching and all that. So things will get complicated, but it will be there, even slowly. And for that thing, I'm really I think Derrick put it straight. I mean, it's totally put it in perspective. ERPSIM is actually I was inspired by ERPSIM back then. In fact, I remember that night we had a conversation after the training, and I said that you guys are sitting on a gold mine, right? I remember I said that. Why? I said this is excellent idea, doing this. But I think there is only one problem, ERPSIM. And I said that absolutely. I think I was quoting myself. I say only you can do without the SAP. So because so it's different philosophy they're doing on SAP, because I know that SAP is such a big integrated, perfect solution system. It is quite difficult to build a game on such a big professional integrated serious system. So if you want the flexibility, you really need to be especially going to the cloud and so on. So we had this philosophy, the discussion, and I think that's why we do MonsoonSIM. So it's all connected, everything's connected, and it's all good. Thank you.
All right, we'll leave that for another session, but we're waiting for Dr. Ma to comment. To pull you guys back to the e-commerce module we're talking about, we have been drifting away a little bit. Dr. Ma, over to you. Perhaps you can put up some good ideas of how you can actually include this in your next course, maybe for 2020.
Yes.
I'm still thinking about how, because let me introduce myself. My name is Lalk, and I've been in academic for about 9 years in 2 different universities in Singapore. So in SUSS, the course that I'm teaching is the first introductory course for all the business school students coming to the university. So they have zero knowledge, but I'm sure as these generations of students, e-commerce is nothing new to them. And I even have students who are setting up their own e-commerce website to do the selling, and once they graduated from the university, some of them are entrepreneurs themselves. So maybe they are more experienced than me in terms of e-commerce, how they do the planning, how they do the even the website. So I think moving forward, everyone's talking about you can set up your own stores and so on. It may somehow also encourage other students who do not dare to open their own e-commerce in real world, but they can simulate the environments in the classroom environments, and to see how it is being like to compete in the markets by setting up their own store. What are the plannings that they need to be done in order to succeed in this business? Because for the next few generations, our university philosophy is self-directed learning and lifelong learning. So we want the students to actually learn by themselves, and of course there are a lot of resources and available through the internet today, simulation games and so on. So I think that will be the right direction for us to move forward as an educator. We won't be able to teach them the skill set that they will require in the next 5 years. They have to be self-directed learner. They have to learn by themselves. And yeah, I think e-commerce will be a big wave coming in. And to these generations of students is really not very new to them. I mean, I'm talking in terms of Singapore students. To them, they buy from Taobao because they think that it's cheaper than Lazada, even with the shipping costs and so on. So do not change the setting when you really do not have the global same price for all the country, because nowadays logistics is not an issue anymore. So shipping costs are so low. I personally do it, but I'm sure my students are doing that more. So one student was telling me, because he has set up his own e-commerce website to sell apparel for sportwear, and he was telling me that he bought from Vietnam and China, and he knows how to compare, and the price that he sells online is only $10 also. It doesn't have to last long, because these students, they have different mentality. I'm not looking for something that will last me 10 years. I only need it fashionable. It can last me 6 months, 1 year. I will throw it away if it's $10. So the whole paradigm about business has changed. In their mind, unknowingly, we are the old thoughts, but they are changing very fast. So I think e-commerce, my message to MonsoonSIM is e-commerce is the way to go. A lot more to do, and students will like it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ma. Jonathan, you have something to add? Yes, please. On to that, I think she brought a very good point about the global market and pricing being very different. Sorry, Alex, I'm going to use it as an example.
Me? Go ahead.
How much did your iPhone cost?
I didn't use iPhone.
Yeah, who had an iPhone?
Anyone use iPhone there?
How much did the iPhone cost? In USD?
I think at the time it cost about 500
USD, 500 USD.
Oh, sorry, 900 USD.
900 USD. For that, I can buy 3 of my phones. My phone is a Xiaomi. It looks exactly the same. The icons are exactly the same. So where does Xiaomi save? Right, the processor is at the same speed as the top-end iPhone at the time. The screen is at the same resolution. Your camera is the same quality. Where does Xiaomi save on this? The marketing. You don't see Xiaomi advertisements anywhere, right? So where do they get the marketing? I've just done it for them. You see what I'm trying to get at? Right, so e-commerce, especially if you're going to a global market, right, suddenly a lot of things are irrelevant. If I make a product that's good enough, is cheap enough, my customers will market it for me. That's their mentality. And other brands have done the same. And you can find action cameras, you can find lightning cables, power cables, USB cables, glassware, furniture. Half the furniture in my house is from Taobao. It's a quarter of the price from anything you can find in Singapore. I mean, I have to put it up myself, but that's not too bad. So even if I pay someone to do it for me, I still save about half the cost. So we're talking about something that has this very, very, very different scales of pricing across the market. And China's not that far away from Singapore, it's not that far away from all of us. Shipping costs are not that high. And so you're running into this real world situation, which I think MonsoonSIM can bring that in as an e-commerce module.
Okay, right. So we have probably Derrick, want to add on, please, yeah.
I don't know what currently exists in MonsoonSIM, right? Some of the algorithms behind the economics of the market engine and all the rest of it, right? But I think what Jonathan is talking about is brand and brand loyalty, right? And going beyond the awareness-based idea of marketing, right? Okay, I make my product, I make customers aware that my product exists, and therefore I get more sales, right? And so to build on what I said before about it has to be more than just another channel for revenue, is I think we want the students to understand what makes this channel different, right? What do I need to pay attention to in retail versus B2C, B2B versus e-commerce, right? What is the difference? What is the advantages and the disadvantages of each one? How are they different, right? And so definitely branding, brand loyalty, and creating a brand, and this I think is something that's interesting to add. But me coming from teaching data and analytics for a long time, something else that I think is interesting about the e-commerce platform that adds something to business is visibility into data that you don't normally have. So if you think a long time ago, non-consumer, somebody would call you up and say, hey, what do you got, right? And you say, oh, I've got this available and it's this price. I don't really like the price, blah, 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 right? The salesman internally built this knowledge that our pricing is a bit of a problem, or our availability or our lead time, because there's this personal discussion, right? And when you get to retail and things like that, you got so many customers coming, they walk past your store, they look at the sign, and they keep walking, right? And you don't necessarily know why they didn't come inside, right? And now when you get to e-commerce, and so there's this, I can only measure the sales that I got. I can't measure the sales that I lost, that I might have had. So here's my problem that customers don't know about my product, or they don't like my product, they don't like the brand image of my product, they don't like the price of my product, right? And so tying in the e-commerce, not just, oh, that's more sales in another channel, but with the existence like now that you have with Google Analytics, that you can see the customer journey on your website, including the ones that never converted,
Yes.
right? Where did I lose them along the way? And I would recommend a book by a guy called Timothy Ferriss called The 4-Hour Workweek. I don't know if anybody has read this book, right? But he does something that is extremely simple. He's this sort of very micro entrepreneur kind of guy, right? He's like, I don't want to build a huge business. He's like, I wanted $50,000 more by the end of the year, and that's what I wanted, right? And so, you know, I did something, right? And he presented something which is very, very simple, which is a 3-page website, right? To split out your product, your offer, your price. And basically, if you know the customer got the price, they liked your product, they didn't like the price. If they didn't even look at the price, you know they didn't like your product, right? So something, it doesn't have to be as complicated as all the Google Analytics, every single page, right? But this, something that in the customer journey, this many customers looked at your eBay page or your Amazon page. They looked at the product and went no further. They looked at it and they clicked to see how much the price was, just to give this idea of where is your issue in terms of not converting your sales. I need to advertise to drive more web traffic to the website in the first place. That's the problem I need to solve to get more e-commerce sales. I'm getting a lot of traffic, but people are not buying. Okay, what's the problem? Is it my product offering or is it my price, right? And I think going this journey adds something a lot to the analytic, let's having a look, and the value of using analytics and tools to go beyond just my KPI, right? Like, my revenue went up or not. Yeah, okay, but why is my revenue up? How do I get more revenue, right? By looking at the data we don't normally get to see. I think that could be very interesting.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Good idea.
I just would like to add a bit more about the e-commerce. Technically, we are more focused. Your tabs, this is a preferred list. Because for the e-commerce, right, actually we are focused on the marketing. So we just teach the micro concept like this. For example, if you like to buy or sell in the internet, right? So first of all, they are supposed to invest in marketing, but not the ordinary way that's the marketing right now. It's going to be, let's say, for example, if you pay for SEO or not, if you pay for advert or not, this is some basics marketing, e-marketing for that one. You invest SMM or not, or you use the technically or retargeting marketing or whatever. These are all the things that I think maybe start from that concept first for the very early first version 7. That's all.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Paramin. I think we have probably about 5 minutes left. Thank you very much for panel for the good sharings. Yeah, it's all invaluable from your personal opinion and also your domain knowledge. I think that is very impressive. Should I probably open up 3 questions to the floor, or if you have anything you want to ask the panel in front, or anything you want to raise as an opinion, please. May I see the first hand up?
Yeah. Any question?
Yeah, at least I see one first hand up from the floor. Billy? Michael? Didi, where are you?
Oh, Didi.
He's not there. Oh, okay. So I need to bring him in to do a presentation. Okay, can I have a question on the floor?
Any question?
Last call?
Okay. No,
Oh, yeah.
I just want to add something. Every time, I mean, these are all the good concepts that we are going to be looking into. But every time we try to add a new micro concept, we always ask ourselves, this is our R&D issue, we ask ourselves, this concept that we want to add, what is the name of it in the industry? You know, so when you suggest something that was called demand, what do you call that, production planning, and that was a name, and that's a good name, and there is a lot of references in wiki and all that in the, you know, so those are the things that we will put into the game. Because we are here to try, you know, we are education. We want the student to learn, to come out and know what is production planning. So what you say, for example, you know, the SEO and all. So we're looking for terms. So when if you suggest something to Monsoon or R&D, please, if you can share with us, okay, this is the link that I would like you to look at, and this is a particular business best practice concept. We'll certainly look at it, and then we'll try to see how we can put it into a game. All right. So we always based on best practice concept. All right. That's my.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Abdi. So I think if there's no question from the floor, we have overrun the time by about 5 minutes, and we thanks a lot to all the panel. Can you give them a big round? Alright, thank you guys. So the lunch will be 1 hour from now. So technically we'll be back here about 1 hour.
In 1 hour.
In 1 hour time.
Yeah.
Alright, so okay, thank you very much guys.